Well, howdy there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester, back in Marvel Heroes 2015 edition. Yeah, something like that. Anyways, we're counting down the top 18 heroes in Marvel Heroes. The top 18 most powerful heroes. At number 16 was Ghost Rider. So let's go ahead and look at number 15 on the list. Number 15 most powerful hero on the list. We've got quite a few to choose from, and after careful debating, number 15 is Colossus. So let's take a look at Colossus. Alrighty. Yep, he's got that steel skin, which makes him very, very tough. He does have some really good abilities to either give yourself and your allies power, to give yourself and allies toughness, or to give you and your allies endurance, depending on what you needed. The ability to summon in two rather good characters. In fact, Wolverine and Magic are both real heroes now, so the ability to summon these guys in is obviously a big boost. His signature power is a huge area of effect, does some really good damage, but it also knocks enemies down. I just think that he's really, really tough. Just his normal attacks here between his Colossus Punch, his Crushing Smite Punch, and his passive powers, the Omnis Champion, which gives him a nice damage rating, some extra critical hit and brutal strike rating. And let's see, I think he had, where's this other... Titanic Slam. I love this power. It gives him a nice way to get around the battlefield, do some extra damage. Oh yes, here's his other passive. Extra health, extra defense, total defensive rating, extra tenacity. He's just a beast. He does a lot of damage. I was kind of surprised because the first time I played him he wasn't as tough. He has this little armor which makes him again even tougher. And when you have a very, very tough hero with a lot of hit points, you can stay in the fight a lot longer. You don't have to worry about backing away from enemies or backing away from attacks. You can take a full-on charge from Rhino or Juggernaut and not have to worry about being instantly killed. So the ability to stand there and take all that damage, and also have your allies come in, and the ability to give yourself and your allies a little boost. You could max these powers out. Obviously, we just have one power in each of those, or 1 point in each of those. But signature power only has a 25-second cooldown. Gives him a really nice kind of buff. 46% extra maximum health. That's like almost 50% extra health. Which again lets you stay in the fight and just punch, punch, punch. And his punches, I mean, look at that, 135 to 203,000 points of damage. And of course, again, 152 to 228. Now you'll notice that this one here, damage has been increased because of 1% of his maximum health. Well, of course, when you get a huge buff because of your Colossal Roar, this power is even going to get even do that much more damage. There's a lot of heroes in the game that don't have several powers that are listed in the 150 to 250,000 range like he has. Over here we have 230 to 350,000, and again increased because of his maximum health. Whenever you activate your Colossal War, it's going to basically energize all the rest of your powers, and just the ability to actually bring in a couple of your other summons to keep the enemies kind of off you and targeting something else, and just has a ton of health. And let's look at his stat line here. Stat line. He's at he's up for 41% critical hit rating. Brutal strike rating is at 45%. It looks like we still need to put another blessing on his artifact there. As far as his ranks go, his ranks are pretty reasonable there. 2 ranks in all powers there. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9, and his main item doesn't give any ranks to anything. But you can see Mutant Powerhouse, Armor, Demolition Stop when you use your Bond to the Bloodlines. I mean, his items seem to really, oops, don't do that. Seem to really help, really energize the powers that we need. And you can see the ranks that we're having are pretty good for all that's said and done. 46, 44, 46, 41, 41. This is a little low at 37. And 41, 42. So I mean the ranks seem to be about there. A little bit low in this category, and of course a little bit low in his signature power. But even with that said, he tends to do. Yep. All right, let's get the show on the road. Yeah, with all that said, he still does a pretty good amount of damage. I guess the only reason he doesn't rank up higher is the fact that he's very slow. He walks very slow. He doesn't get around the battlefield very fast. He doesn't have, any kind of super teleports or anything like that. He just kind of lumbers around, because he's made out of metal and stuff. So it takes a while to get from area to area. But when he gets to that area, he can dominate it pretty good. He has the consistency where you're not using a lot of med kits to keep him in the fight. A lot of his activations for his powers are going to energize his armor, as long as his armor is kept up. And of course, like I mentioned, he has a nice toggle where you can get power or toughness or endurance, not only for yourself but for your allies. So he's a good ally, a good support hero in that aspect. Plus the fact that he can bring in, Wolverine for, almost 30 seconds, or Magic for almost 30 seconds, and they again are going to give you, when you bring in Magic, you're going to get Constitution for you and your allies, restoring health. When you bring Wolverine in, you're going to gain accuracy, increasing your critical hit and critical damage rating. And, pretty much all the time you're going to have out somebody that's going to be helping you, keeping your enemies busy, doing some damage. And then, of course, you have your other area toggle as well that's going to provide a nice boost to not only yourself but your allies. I think he's a really good hero. He does exactly what you think Colossus should do. He comes to an area, he stands there, he's not fancy, he just can dish out a lot of damage. He can take a lot of damage because he's so tough, and that keeps him in the fight, working against, doing damage against the enemies. Stat line wise, again, he's a little bit low. I really haven't really min-maxed him quite to the best of his abilities yet. You can see we still need to get some more ranks in his Savage Axe, which will of course increase his stat line even further. Give him another blessing, which will give him that much more. But even without those items, his items, his normal unique items, really do a good job of just kind of finishing up where the powers left off, giving him a nice ability to stay in the fight, extra health, extra damage, some brutal strike rating. Really. Kind of, just a fun hero that you don't have to spam healing potions all the time. And, like I mentioned, every time you attack, which is not very often, we only have a 1.4 per second. We only have this has a 6-second cooldown. This has a, 7-second cooldown on this. So you're not attacking very often, but when you attack, you seem to do a nice chunk of damage to enemies. You pull off your signature, which you can do every 25 seconds, and that just energizes all your other powers. And as you're just beating people down, you have your other heroes out helping you as well, or alternate, pull him out, and then halfway through you pull her out. And by the time she's gone, then you can bring him back, and you can kind of alternate between them, so you always have somebody basically out helping you. A lot of heroes that have summons, their abilities are kind of a little nerfed because they know that, okay, well, if you're going to be bringing other people into the fight, we can't give you a lot of damage and let them do a lot of damage because you'll be too powerful. In this case, these guys do a pretty good amount of damage, and Colossus also does a really decent amount of damage. Um, and again, being a good support hero kind of puts him on the list for the top 18 most powerful heroes, and he comes in at number 15. So that is Colossus. He's very tough, very enjoyable hero to play. I was really surprised when I played through him again, when I did a review of all 54 heroes in the game, and I think he definitely can hold his own against just about all the other heroes in the game. Puts him in up at number 15. He would probably be a little bit higher up the list if his summons lasted a little bit longer, or if he had a little bit more options to do some normal damage. But I think because of this huge buff, I mean, this is just huge extra health, which doesn't sound like anything, but when you combine that with, oh, my damage is going to be increased because of my maximum health. Oh, my damage is going to be increased because of my maximum health. This power is obviously, totally kind of makes Colossus really energizes this hero, kind of the backbone behind him. Obviously, that's why it's his signature power. Not only that, but it restores some spirits. You don't really have that much of a spirit issue with him. You're not doing a lot of attacks anyways, but you're doing enough attacks that when you do, you're going to see these big flashy red millions of hits. So that definitely makes him one of the 18 most powerful heroes in the game. And Colossus comes in at number 15. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys when we talk about hero number 14.